Hello everyone. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 is the general quadratic equation. It is a parabola which is very useful with the combination of projectile, bearing, and distance in playing a corner kick in football. It is also very useful in throwing a ball into the net in basketball. Today I will be looking at quadratic equations. And did you know that there are 4 methods in solving quadratic equation? 1. Factorization method. 2. Completing the square method. 3. Formula method. And the last one is graphical method. In our previous videos, we have dealt with factorization method, completing the square method, graphical method. And now I want to look at the formula method, series 1. Now I will be taking you through how to derive the formula method, and a question will be solved to give the application of the formula. Now let's get started. My name is Olanipekun Oluwagbenga, and I will be taking you through all this. And if you are new on this channel, I will encourage you to subscribe and press the notification bell so that you get more of our videos, so that we will not miss any of the videos that we are doing in iPros Academy. Now let's get started. Now you will quickly know, like I said before, that the general equation of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c. That was what we started with. Now, for you to get the formula that we are going to be using in solving, so that we cannot be getting the same answer, the first thing you do, and the first very step, is to divide through by the coefficient of x squared, and that is a. Divide through by a, divide through by a, divide through by a. So you will notice that a will cancel a in this place, so we are going to be left with x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. Now the next I'm going to do is to take the constant to the other side, and that will be x squared plus b over ax equals minus c over a. We have taken the constant to the other side. Now the next thing is to find, let's call this asterisk, to make the left hand side a perfect square. And what do you do to make an expression a perfect square? Is to do half times coefficient of x. Coefficient of x, then all squared. And the coefficient of x here is b over a. So that will give us, so when you divide that now, that will give us what? So we have half times b over a. Remember, all squared. So that is how to make an expression a perfect square, as in what must be added to that expression to make the perfect square. And that gives us what? B squared all over 2a squared. So this is what we have. And that will give us what? B squared all over 4a squared. That is, 2 squared is 4 and we have a squared. So we add this to both sides that we have there. And that will now be giving us what? That will be giving us x squared. We have b over a, x from the question that we were doing before from our last step. So we add this to both sides. B squared all over 4a squared. Then equals to what we have there was minus c over a. Then we add this to this side as well. B squared over 4a squared. Yeah, we are getting closer. Now, if you factorize this left-hand side, it's a perfect square, which is very easy to factorize. So we have x. So you come to this level here. We have plus here, right? We have plus sign. Then we have b over 2a, then all squared. So that's how to factorize that side. Then what is common here? We have the LCM here is 4a squared. A in 4a squared, that is 4a times minus c times negative c. That gives us negative 4ac. 4a squared in 4a squared is 1 times b squared. So we have b squared, right? So what do we have to do here? So we have x. We can rearrange this very well. B over 2a. So we have that here. So if we take it to the other side so that we can have it very easy to move. So that will give us x plus b over 2a all squared. If you arrange this very well now, you're going to be getting, let's look at that, b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. So we have b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Yeah, that's what we have in there. B squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Okay, so we have b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Let's check again whether that is correct. We're going to be having b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Yeah, that is correct. Good. So let's move on from there. So that becomes what now? Well, we're not going to be getting, take the square root of both sides, and that becomes this. Look at that. Take the square root of both sides, and when you are getting the square root of both sides, that becomes plus or minus. This one we cancel this. So we have x plus b over 2a equals plus or minus this. So we can't get the square root of the upper one, so we have b squared minus 4ac. We can get the square root of the lower one, and that is over what? 2a. So take this b over 2a to the other side. So we have x, it will now be equal to what? Minus b over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac everything over 2a. What do you think is common here? The LCM is 2a. Very good. So that my x will now be equals to minus b plus or minus. Look at that now. The LCM there is what? 2a. You can see that. So we have 2a. Let's say that again. So the LCM we have there is now 2a, right? So we have 2a. So 2a in minus will give us minus b. So plus or minus. So we have the 2a in 2a here, we have 1, then times b squared over 2a squared. And that's what we have there. So we have square root of b squared minus 4ac. And that is now the formula for quadratic, to solve quadratic equation. And generally, we now have x equals minus b, so which can be memorized now. We have b squared. Remember, the division line covers everything over 2a, and that is it. So we're going to be using this to solve any quadratic equation. It's even better to use it to solve any quadratic equation such that sometimes when the factorization cannot work. Now let's solve this with a question. Now let's look at this question. Find the values of x in this x squared plus 7x plus 10 equals 0. Good. So what do we have here? Using the quadratic formula method, where a is the coefficient of x squared, and what do you think that will be? 1. Where b is the coefficient of x, and that is 7, and where c is 10. So putting the value straight, the formula is x equals minus b, remember, plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So if you put the values there, you're going to be having minus 7 plus or minus, what is my b squared there? That is 7 squared, good, minus 4, remember, times 1, and my c is 10, good. So I will be having x will now be equals to minus 7 plus or minus, remember, over 2a. We should not forget over 2a here. Good. So anytime you are solving mathematics, you should always be going back to what you have done. So 2 times 1. So I'm going to be having minus 7 plus or minus. So x, we are very close. X will now be equals to minus 7 plus or minus 7 squared will give us 49. Then minus 4 times 1 times 10 will give us 40. So that is negative 40 there over 2. So that my x will now be equals to minus 7 plus or minus 49 minus 40 will give us 9, right? Then everything over 2. So that x will now be equals to minus 7 plus or minus 3 over 2, such that x is either minus 7 plus 3 over 2, and that will give us what? Negative 4 over 2, and that is negative 2, or x equals negative 7 minus 3 over 2, and that will be equals to what here? And that will be equals to, let's solve the second value, and that will be equals to x equals negative 7 plus or minus, we have solved for this before, that will be equals to plus, let's check it, minus 7 minus 3 over 2, very good, minus 7 minus 3 over 2, minus 7 minus 3 over 2, and that will be equals to minus 10 over 2, and that is minus 5, negative 5. Remember that we always get two answers, and they are what? Negative 2 or negative 5, and that is the answer. Those are the rules for that equation. If you have not subscribed on this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, press the notification bell, and don't forget to like this video. We shall see in our next video when we're going to be solving more questions using quadratic formula.